Welcome back to Royals Weekly. I am your host, Marcus Mead, and joining me as always, the man who brought unbridled sensuality to Riverdance, my brother Mike.
Hey, I do things only one speed. All right. Passion and 1,000 miles an hour. I'm a passionate guy. All right. My legs love to
So
dance.
you gotta take me back to the late '90s when it seemed like every other commercial had some sort of Riverdance element to it, and like
Yeah.
there was a lot
I,
of
I
people were
want to say
pushing
that was,
Riverdance real hard,
yeah.
and all I can think is what Mike would bring to it. It would be
Mm.
debaucherous. It would
It'd
be
be a lot more physical,
It'd be
a lot more eye
scantily clothed,
contact.
a
Yeah.
lot more eye contact, nothing but eye contact, really. Just very, very intense in a way that they wouldn't let children watch. Let's just be honest about that. Like, and so, good job, Mike. We knew you were going to change the world in some kind of ways. You know, as a kid, we knew there was going to be some kind of ways. On this week's episode, we'll break down another winning series against the White Sox. I wrote this before they swept today, so it's a little toned down. Let's just come out and say it. The straight up smackdown, beat down, kicking of the ass of the Chicago White Sox that took place over the last 3 days. It was pretty amazing to watch. We're going to dig into it during our review segment. Then we're going to discuss some of the stipulations for the Royals playoff run, what Mike and I think it will take in order for them to actually reach the playoffs. And then we'll preview this week's games. But first, we want to make sure to remind you to go out there and subscribe to the Royals Weekly Substack. We're putting out midweek episodes every week, digging into the deep dive stuff related to the Royals. We went into the draft pretty deep dive on the last one, rounds 3 through 10. We analyzed those picks. If you want to go listen to it, become a paid subscriber to the Substack and get all this extra content from us. Mike just wrote an excellent prospect profile of Mason Barnett. I wrote about Bobby today in the weekly wrap up and something else that I can't recall because the second I write about something, it goes whoop right out of my mind. I'm on turning the page, but it was great. I'm sure it was great. So make sure you're subscribed to that Substack. Make sure you give us a like and a thumbs up and a comment and a review on Apple Podcasts and all those sorts of things. That really helps us out a bunch. So we really appreciate it. Also, I want to let you know that Bet Online is the most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to their online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of their 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online, the game starts there. We'll start our review of last week with roster news. There wasn't a ton to talk about, but a couple of significant things did happen since the last time we had like a legit episode. One, MJ Melendez went on the 10-day injured list with a left ankle sprain. As a result, I don't know how I said that. I said that with like a southern twang. He went down with a left ankle sprain, which is bad. You don't want to sprain ankles. And the Royals recalled Drew Waters as part of this to help fill that roster spot. Mike, what are your thoughts on seeing MJ go down with an ankle sprain, or as it's said in some parts, an ankle sprain?
I got you. Yeah. Ankle sprains and Rex even actually, I don't listen to the broadcast very often, but I did hear Rex the other day say something about that's actually the best of what could have happened because ankle sprains they're not great. And depending on how you do it, just normal ankle sprains are going to put you down for a couple of weeks. Once the swelling's gone, the pain's gone, and you get back to what you were doing. And so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Hopefully it isn't anything more than what they're telling us. And he should be back. I'm not too worried about it. Sucks a little bit because he was starting to show signs of at least contributing to the team offensively. And Drew Waters, I think, is more of that sixth outfielder. I don't think anybody thinks he's up here for a long time.
Yeah, they kind of need Melendez in this lineup, though. I know right now the lineup is really hot, or at least they were hot facing the White Sox, which a lot of lineups are. But they need Melendez to be that type of hitter he's been so far in July, which is a very good one. And so if he can continue to be that, that lengthens their lineup. And then you have not just Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, and Salvador Perez, but Hunter Renfroe and MJ Melendez. And that's a pretty tough stretch to go through if all those guys are hitting the way they should be. And so they kind of need Melendez, Michael Massey as well, right? Like, and then you have guys at the bottom of the lineup who, while they're not stellar offensive players, can do things to contribute offensively. And so getting Melendez back in the lineup, hitting again, will be a vital thing for them. Hopefully you're right. It's just a slight, maybe week or two kind of thing. And he's back. and he's hitting the way he should be hitting and running the way he should be running. But until then, it'll be Drew Waters. It won't even be Drew Waters most of the time, honestly. He's been up for this whole 3-game series. I think he's gotten one start. I think it's been a lot of Adam Frazier, a lot of Garrett Hampson, a lot of Dairon Blanco and stuff like that. It'll be real rotational in left field until Melendez is back, I think. Also, it was announced that the Royals have released Jordan Lyles. Now, if you'll recall, Jordan Lyles was on the
team. If you remember right,
he was on the team.
He is on the team still.
He has been this whole season up until yesterday or the day before that, right? But he was put on like a personal leave list early on in the season. Personal reserve list. A reserve, I can't remember what
it's
exactly
just called the reserve list.
It's just called the reserve list, apparently, for personal reasons, right? We never got any clarity as to what those personal reasons are or anything like that. I'm not even sure that it matters, honestly. But it turned out that he technically reported to the team 30 days ago. And 30 days is like when you report to the team, quote unquote, you have 30 days for the team to like do something. Something has to happen, right? Like it's like assign you somewhere. And the Royals just didn't do it. This must be some sort of like an arrangement between them. That's like, I'm going to report, and then 30 days after that, we'll see what happens, but you can release me. And that's essentially what they've done. So now he is a free agent. He has cleared waivers or whatever. He is now free to sign with anybody. I'm not exactly sure if he's in a place where he wants to sign and play baseball with somebody. We'll see. I have no clue what's going on with Jordan Lyles. We're hoping for the best for him and his family. We're hoping for the best for him as a player if he continues to play baseball. But whatever it is, it's led to the end of his tenure here as a Kansas City Royal.
Yeah, and if he chooses,
Mike, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, if he chooses not to play baseball again, great career. I mean, the guy had a good career, his long one. More power to him. Hope everything's first and foremost is good with him and his family. And then I think the Royals have managed well filling that spot and moving on. So if he wants to keep playing, I hope he catches on somewhere.
Yeah, the only thoughts that I have is this is a weird situation in large part because usually when people step away from the game, even for personal reasons, we've heard issues with family, we've heard addiction issues and things, mental health issues and things like that. Usually the reason comes out, right? Like somehow it gets reported. For some reason, this one is not. I don't know if it's an anomaly among these types of reasons, or if the Lyles family just doesn't want to talk about it, or what. But for some reason, that hasn't been talked about. Maybe someday it'll come out. But for now, we just have to say hope for the best for Jordan Lyles and all involved, and maybe he can continue his baseball career. If he chooses not to, he'll have made quite a bit of money playing baseball, so he should be okay. On the field this week, the Royals are perfect. Right, they're perfect this week, which is great to say. Perfect since returning to the All-Star break. 3-0, which brings their overall record to 55-45. That's good for third in the AL Central. It's actually tied for second, I believe, because they are tied with Minnesota, though Minnesota might have the tiebreakers because I think it's head-to-head. So maybe technically they're third in the AL Central. They are 5 back of Cleveland. That might have changed since I wrote this down. I think they're 5 back of Cleveland, though. And then tied for the final wild card spot with Minnesota. They swept the god-awful Chicago White Sox last week, which was fantastic. The first 2 games were never really in question. They got out to early leads in both, got great performances from Michael Wacha and Brady Singer, and there wasn't much drama in those 2 games. The third game had quite a bit of drama. It was a little closer. Seth Lugo spun a complete game, 1-run gem, the first complete game of his career, and the Royals scored late to secure a victory. Mike, how do you feel about what took place in this first series back from the All-Star break?
I put this out on Threads, and a lot of people kind of liked it or commented on it. And it was, that might be the most dominant performance I've ever seen by a starting rotation over the span of a whole series. That was unreal. And I know the Chicago White Sox lineup is garbage. I know that. They're terrible, bad. Okay, as bad as there is in Major League Baseball. But they're still in Major League Baseball. Okay, those guys still get paid to play the game. And that was just dominating. I mean, it was insane. Lugo might have had the best one, and he was the only starter that gave up a run. All right, he gave up 1 run over 9 innings. I mean, at no point did you ever feel like they were going to score more than 1 or 2 in that whole series. Singer got in trouble 1 time and got out of it. Wacha was in trouble, I think maybe twice, kind of trouble. And Lugo wasn't ever in trouble. They scored the 1 run off of a guy he hit, and then what was it? I think he gave up a double after that or something, and that was it.
No,
That
I
was
think
everything.
no. Somehow Lopez is the one he hit. Nicky Lopez. Somehow
Yeah.
he ended up getting to second. I don't know if that was a wild pitch or a
Oh no, no,
cracked
no!
ball or something.
It was a ground ball that they couldn't turn into a double play because he was stealing.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah,
then
that's what it was.
some guy hits a soft liner to
Soft single.
center,
Yeah,
and Nicky Lopez scored. That's what it was.
yeah. So at no point did you feel like they were a threat offensively today or this series, and we were able to hit a little bit because Bobby Witt Jr. is a freaking insane superhuman.
Yeah, he is an insane superhuman. We've looked into that, and that's fact checked right there. Insane superhuman, and so you can write that down. No, what's interesting is every time, like you're right, their starting rotation was maybe in trouble 2 or 3 times the entire series, and every single time it seemed like they got a double play to get out of it, or
Yeah,
they got
Waka especially. Waka got
or they
two,
got
I think.
yeah, he got two, or they got to strike him out, throw him out to keep guys off base completely. Like
Yeah.
there was just always something that got them out of those moments, and it was just never really any pressure on the Royals defense to do anything. I mean, it wasn't even like the Royals were making insane out of their mind plays defensively. The pitching just thoroughly destroyed the White Sox. That's because the White Sox have no good hitters. I mean, none right now, and so it's not surprising that they got owned by one of the best starting rotations in baseball. What's amazing to me about this last series is you get a chance to see what the offense looks like when the heart of the order is humming, right? Like Bobby Witt Jr., you're right, is superhuman. I mean, he is incredible. But Vinny Pasquantino had a few hits this series. Salvador Perez got some hits this series. Hunter Renfroe did some hitting. Like when the heart of this order is doing what it's supposed to do, man, they're unstoppable. I mean, like they just keep scoring and scoring and scoring, especially Bobby. Bobby is almost, people keep talking about like, put him in the leadoff. What's weird is he's acting kind of as the leadoff hitter out of the 2 spot, right? Because he starts off the action. Like when he gets on base, there's a really good chance they're going to score. And that they did a bunch of it this series. And so it was amazing to see that. If the offense can continue to be this level of good, then they're going to do quite well in the second half. Mike, a lot of strong performers to choose from in a week where you sweep a terrible team. Who was the strong performer that you went with?
I went with all 3 of them. I couldn't pick one. Waka, Singer, Lugo, 23 innings pitched. That's insane, by the way, in modern baseball. That's insane. 12 hits, 1 run, 3 walks to 20 strikeouts. Just absolute dominance, like we mentioned previously. How deep we go into games is just, it's wild. Like I think Joel said after, it was either after Waka's or Singer's. I go in and out of the broadcast, but he said they had like 42 quality starts this year. That is wild. They've gone so deep into games, and with the minor exception there, they've been healthy, and so it's absolutely wonderful to watch and super exciting.
It is, and you see the sort of the difference between this year's team and the previous, since 2015, essentially teams. It's basically just starting pitching. Like, yeah, maybe they've taken a tiny step forward offensively from last year, but really it's their starting rotation is night and day better than it was last year. And that's the biggest difference we could ever see. And, for as much as, I got really, really tired of the Dayton Moore platitudes and the platitudes of some of the front office generally, when they say starting pitching is the most important currency in baseball, it is obviously true. And you're seeing sort of the fruit of that labor, right? You're seeing the opposite side of that coin. We typically saw the downside of it being the most important aspect of baseball than previously. Now we're seeing the upside of it, which is really nice. I'm going with the guy everybody would think you would go with for strong performer. I took the 2-foot putt, the layup this time, Mike.
I was going to, but his stats weren't updated, and I was too lazy to go find them.
Okay, well, I'm going with Bobby Witt Jr., who, as we mentioned previously, is not human. He is actually something above that or beyond that. Superhuman, if you will. He went 9 for 11 in this White Sox series with 1 double, 1 home run, 1 walk, and 0 strikeouts. It was one of those runs where you're like, when he comes to the plate, you actually expect him to get a hit. You're like, oh, I think, Bobby's up, so a hit will happen. That's where we're at right now with him. It is incredible. And I did some writing for the Substack on him earlier. So I want to throw out some numbers coming into today before he had yet another 3-hit game today. Coming into today, He had 6.1 F4 wins. That's wins above replacement, as calculated by Fangraphs. He is on pace for an exactly 10-win season, slight rounding up, but that's how you would do it. He is on pace for a 10 F4 season. Mike, can you name the other players in Royals history who have had a 10 F4 season? Go.
I gotta go with George Brett, obviously.
No.
George Brett. Nobody has ever had one.
Nobody has ever had a 10 F4 season for the Royals, right? Like now, Baseball Reference calculates WAR differently, so somebody else in the Royals may have had a 10 WAR season based on how they calculate it, but based on how Fangraphs calculate it, Bobby Witt Jr. is currently on pace for the best season in Royals history. Right? And part of that is because he plays every day. He's played every single game for the Royals this year, and part of that is just he is so freaking good. He is so good, and it makes me wonder. He's had better second halves than first halves. Is it possible he could have a better second half than he had first half? Is that even possible? It's hard for me to start imagining this depths of greatness. Like
we've got a softer schedule.
We do.
We've got a softer schedule in the second half than we did in the first. So it's very possible he could do that. And I'll say this, I can't remember what the first non-hit was of his 2 non-hits against the White Sox, but the second one should have been a hit. It was a damn laser beam to left field and the third baseman caught it. So yeah, unbelievable. The guy is unbelievable. He's not going to get I'm worried he's not going to get as much MVP love as he should because his skill set is so spread out. He's not going to lead the league in home runs. He's not going to lead the league in batting average. He's not going to lead,
he might lead the league in
batting average. He's close. He might. He's close.
Stephen Kwan is coming back to earth and he is going He might win the batting title this year.
So, okay, that's his one shot then. If he wins the batting title, he's got a
much better chance of winning the MVP. Yeah, wild. All right, we can't just sit around and talk about how great he is all day. Mike, who were the weak performers for last week?
You sure? Why not?
I mean, we could.
Weak performer. It was really hard to find one after you took the initial guy. And so I went with Hunter Harvey just because we need to probably talk about him because we finally got to see him. He didn't look great, I don't think. His fastball in the zone looked a little hittable. But I love the splitter still. I love that. That was a really good looking pitch. He just got hit kind of hard. It was 2 hits in 1 inning. He gave up a run. He walked a guy. He did have a strikeout, but I feel like it was back-to-back doubles or something like that. He got hit pretty hard in that inning. So I'm not worried or anything. He's got kind of a proven track record, and I think even if he's in a year when he's down a little bit, he still adds to this bullpen. He's still a good piece for the bullpen, even if he's not the dominant guy he's been at times in the past. And I'll talk about it a little bit later. I think he helps you kind of start to figure out some of those roles a little bit better as well in the back end of the bullpen.
Yeah, his fastball was real middle in his only inning, and it did get hit hard for a couple of doubles in the gaps. One of them almost left the yard. But yeah, I've mentioned this previous too, and that was the other thing I talked about in the Substack post today was the new look bullpen that the Royals have, including Hunter Harvey. And if the Royals can help him with that slider, which in the past has been very good pitch for him, and this year has been a very bad pitch for him, if they can get it back to where it needs to be, make it effective again, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be a really solid pickup for them, a really good pitcher in the back of their bullpen, and he should be perfectly fine, especially since it won't all be on him, right? They're not going to treat it like that. It's going to be like MacArthur's back there, Bubich is back there, Long is back there. It's not all on you, Hunter Harvey. Go out, get the outs you can get, gain some confidence, work on that slider, and we'll see what Zach Bove and Brian Sweeney and the team has cooked up for deploying his pitches in advantageous ways. Yes, my weak performer for this week was the only one who stood out as he had a rough week, and that was Kyle Isbell. He went 0 for 8 this week with 1 walk and 4 strikeouts, though he did lay down a very key safety squeeze today to get the Royals tied in the game because they were losing 1-0 late in the game. He laid down a great bunt to bring in a run for them and, of course, played his usual great defense. Just a down week for him. He only had 8 plate appearances, or 8 at-bats, I guess. So, I'm not too worried about him. They just need him to be about an 85 weighted runs created plus guy, and he'll be really valuable for them as a defender.
And he hit the ball hard a couple times for some bad luck outs too. So I'm also not worried about him at this point.
All right, Mike, let's hear it. It's nothing but good vibes this week. What's your theme?
Oh, I put this out on Threads the other day because I love this team, even though they're not perfect. I still love them. It's my kind of team, Charlie. It's my kind of team. Lou Brown from the classic Major League. Not a perfect bunch, kind of a motley crew, especially when you consider the hired guns that we had to get in the offseason just to have a different rotation. But they play fast. They have a superstar. They have the grizzled vet in their captain, Salvador Perez. It's just kind of a mixed mash bunch. They've got guys like Freddie Fermin, who probably nobody ever thought would make it to Major League Baseball, and Dairon Blanco, and some of those guys. And
those are my faves.
Yeah, those are the scrappy winners we all love. And so yeah, it's fun to watch this mixed up group win games and really, really dominate the White Sox. And I'm looking forward to a series against the Diamondbacks we're going to talk about a little bit later, for a team that I think is very similar to us.
Yeah, I'm going with an all good vibes theme as well. I've just been waiting to use this one until a week where we really started kicking ass, and we started doing it against the White Sox here. And I'm going with a little hit from Katrina and the Waves. I'm walking on sunshine, and don't it feel good?
I thought you were going to try and actually sing it, and I'm like, no.
That one's all. I can't really sing. There's no skill in singing that song. She's basically just screaming. Oh, you think I can't get up there? I can get up there.
I don't think you can.
But there's no real point to it. Unless I'm singing the verses, it doesn't make much sense. Royals Weekly is brought to you by All in Physical Therapy. You already know that All in Physical Therapy helped turn our mother into the alpha that turns other alphas into betas. But what you don't know is that Mom loved her experience there because of the personal attention she got from Tommy and the staff at All In. They guarantee a personalized one-on-one experience to suit the needs of patients recovering from total joint surgeries, sports injuries, or any kind of injury or pain.
Pain is just your body's way of telling you you're too old for competitive dance.
All in Physical Therapy is owned and operated by Tommy Freevert, with locations in Blue Springs and Lee Summit, plus coming to Belton soon. But more importantly, they're in network for nearly all insurance providers.
I'm in network so I can go out there and dance to my heart's content. Where's my sparkly spandex?
If you're a high school athlete recovering from injury or someone bouncing back with a brand new hip or knee, check out the best physical therapy in the KC Metro at allin-pt.com. That's ALLIN-pt.com. Or give them a call at 816-427-5300. That's 816-427-5300. We're not quite in the home stretch of the season. There are still 62 games to go, but we've reached the point where we can see the outline of the playoff picture, and the Royals are definitely a part of that outline. But what do they need to do to ensure that they get in? That's the focus of our Spotlight segment today. Each of us is going to give 3 quasi-prediction kind of things in a game Mike is calling The Royals Make the Playoffs If. And Mike, since it was your brilliant idea to play this
creative director
game, you can
go
first.
Director.
The Royals make the playoffs if
Chris Bubich can be a force in the back end of the bullpen. That is the Royals can make the playoffs if. We need Bubich to become a legit piece in the back end of that bullpen. So far, he's only pitched 5 innings, 1 hit, 0 runs, 0 walks, and 6 Ks. That's what you want to see, 6 strikeouts and 5 innings and no walks. But and I've liked what I've seen with the eye test too. I've seen him. The biggest thing I was worried about when he came off of that surgery was for about a month and a half, however long he was in there last year or whatever, he was missing bats with his fastball. And I was like, if he can keep that, if he still has the ability to miss bats with his fastball on occasion, I think he can be really effective. And I've seen that so far. And
Fun stat for you to meet that eye test. He has a 53.3% whiff rate on that fastball in those 5 innings.
That is extremely good.
Yes.
Won't stay that high, but that's what we're looking for. Like, if he can miss bats with his fastball, then I think he's going to be good. And he may, hot take here, maybe closing games. If you want to think of him as a closer, he may be doing it at some point during this season if he's that good.
He also has raised the velocity on that fastball up to 93.8, which is, I think, is about a mile and a half higher than it was previously. Not to be fairly expected for somebody going into a relief role, but it's great to see because that's good. That combined with how well he locates it upstairs is going to make him really tough to hit and going to get a high whiff rate on that fastball. So yeah, great pick there.
And you know what? I haven't seen much of the slider from him, but he's been able to do it so far with just the changeup and the fastball mostly. So I'll be interested to see what the slider looks like because it looked pretty good before he got hurt too. And that was kind of the pitch that he had kind of added to give him another dimension, something down and into righties and down and away to lefties. And so I'll be interested to see it more, but yeah.
I thought I read somewhere that he was actually going away from the slider and turning that into a cutter and utilizing that instead.
Oh,
I could
he?
be wrong
Okay.
there. I could be wrong there. I have a lot of dreams that aren't actually reality, but I somehow think they are. And so maybe that I dreamed that or something. But anyway, mine, I'm going with the Royals make the playoffs if MJ Melendez continues hitting in the second half. I feel like one of the Royals' big downfalls throughout the season has been when their offense just goes away. And their offense goes away because they only have about 4 or 5 guys driving it at any given night. And if they can lengthen their lineup, they give themselves a better chance to have more guys hitting at that moment. MJ Melendez has to be a key piece of that. He has to be a 5th or 6th solid hitter in this lineup. He's done it so far in July. In July, he's got a 230 or 273 batting average, 314 on base, and a 606 slugging, which is good for a 151 rated runs created plus. If he did that for the entirety of the second half, he'd be in great shape. But I'm not even asking for that. Just something that gets close to that, and he's going to be a lot more useful for this lineup. And I think the lineup really needs it because while Bobby's really hot right now, it won't last forever. The heart of the lineup won't be this hot all the time. And so they need somebody to step up and lengthen this lineup. It's supposed to be him because he's playing left field for him. He just needs to make that happen in the second half. All right, Mike, the Royals make the playoffs if
Hunter Renfroe can continue to produce offensively. Okay, so similar argument to what yours was with MJ Melendez in that he's your corner outfielder. You need offensive production from him. He's an important right-handed bat for Hunter Renfroe in your lineup. And he's been producing since June. Okay. June, he hit 333 with a 412 on base and a 667 slugging. So he's an OPS over 1 in June. It's come down a little bit in July, but he's been very good in July too. And so a very productive hitter. One of the things that it looks like that kind of led to that is the fact that starting in June, they started playing him less frequently. And so they've been finding matchups for him with the guys that aren't that elite velocity that we've talked about on the show several times now. He struggles with that elite fastball. He struggles with fastball, period, but especially the elite fastballs. And so, one, the Royals have hit a stretch of teams where those matchups have been good for him. And 2, they've been willing to pull him in other situations. Now, with MJ down, there is some question, do you feel like you need to play him more no matter what? That's a question to be had. But he needs to keep hitting for the Royals to make the playoffs.
I will say I've been doing quite a bit of research on Hunter Renfroe because I'm curious as to what's driving this uptick in offensive performance? One is he has actually improved significantly against the fastball. Why has he done that? He has actually shortened his swing significantly since June, basically. Since June, or actually it was mid-May at some point, the length of his swing as measured by StatCast has gone down fairly significantly. And that's what's causing, I think, him to have more success against fastballs.
Well, here's the thing. He's got the raw power that he can probably do that. That was kind of probably the trade-off. Hey, if you shorten that swing up a little bit, you're going to be able to catch up to the fastball. You're not going to maybe put as much juice behind it, but it gives you something to catch up. And maybe the example today, he hit that fastball today to right field to score. I mean, that's all you got to catch up to it. You don't necessarily have to be out in front of it. Hit it the other way, score us the run.
Yeah, and that's, I think, led to a lot of the success that he's having. I'm going with the Royals make the playoffs if Walter Pennington replaces Will Smith in the bullpen.
Ooh.
To me, this is like both addition by adding a good pitcher and subtraction by getting rid of a pitcher who's not very good anymore. That's no slight to Will Smith. I get it. Father Time is undefeated. You were a great pitcher in your day. but you are not one of the 8 best relievers for in the Royal system right now. You just aren't. And I think it will come to the point where, will it be a bunch of games? No. But could Will Smith cost him 2 games in the next 62? Yeah, he could. And I don't want to put them in that kind of position because it might come down to those 2 games. And so in my mind, you replace him with Walter Pennington. You make your bullpen a little bit better. Now, I know Will Smith has for some reason, Will Smith has a legion of fans online because every time I mention doing this, I get attacked Will Smith's been great over his last, however many outings. And I have to point out that no, it looks like he has been because volatility is a thing. And, with a short enough or a small enough sample size, yes, we can make anybody look good. But you know what? Look at his expected ERA over that time. Look at his BABIP. Look at his strikeout numbers. They are all bad. All of his numbers are bad. None of them are good. So there is no narrative a reasonable person who knows the game can tell themselves that says that Will Smith has been a good pitcher or will continue to be a good pitcher. Neither of those things. And so I know the Royals are putting him in advantageous positions, but I don't trust him in any other position. I don't trust him against good hitters. I trust that maybe against bad hitters, he can get weak contact and get them out. Maybe. But when it comes down to it, they're going to need somebody they trust to get actual hitters out. And I want that to be somebody other than Will Smith. All right, Mike, one more. Here we go. The Royals make the playoffs if
our boy, Alec Marsh, continues to provide value as a 5th starter. Okay? His turn in the rotation is going to come up every 5th day. And so far this year, he's been able to do the things that we've kind of been saying all offseason and in the last half of second year that he kind of needed to do. And the big one is that he's limiting walks. Okay, he's under 3 walks per 9. I think it was 2.8 walks per 9. And now the strikeouts are down just a little bit, but the walks are really what matter for him. He's not putting guys on base. The home run rate is at a reasonable level, and 4.5 something ERA, and he's been good. He's gone in and beaten some teams that you didn't think he could compete against, and that's what he has to do. He's got to give you a chance to win when he goes out there, and he does.
Yeah, I'm really happy with what they've gotten from him. I'd be interested to see what percentage of his starts have been quality starts too. It's interesting because that
quite a
ERA
bit
is
more
a
than
little
you
bit
think.
a little bit inflated by a few really bad outings, whereas a lot of the starts have been him giving them a chance to win that game. And so
he's gone 6 several times.
If you're going to have a 5th starter, you kind of would rather have him. If he's going to lose some games, just go ahead and lose them, but stick out 5 or 6 innings for us. And then in all the other ones, give us a real chance. You know what I'm saying? And so I think he's done that in most of his games. And, that's all you can really ask for. I'm going with our final one, and that is the Royals make the playoffs if Vinny Pasquantino has a big second half. We talked on the episode a couple weeks ago about how you're not really getting what you want out of a first baseman from Vinny Pasquantino yet this year. And I looked at his Fangraphs page earlier. Before today's game, it was his weighted runs created plus was down under 100. So he is a below average hitter. Now, his expected numbers are better than his actual numbers, but that's what making me think that he has a real good chance to have a better second half than he did first half. And according to him, he's a notoriously slow starter. And so if he can just pick it up, we haven't seen that real hot streak from Vinny yet this year. We haven't seen him get really, really hot for 2 weeks yet. I think that's coming sometime in the second half. Hopefully he can figure out how to do that. He had a couple hits today. If he could just start finding that launch angle, start hitting balls in the air, I think he's got a really good chance to turn it on in the second half. And then you start seeing things like, well, if MJ's turning it on and Renfroe continues to hit and Pasquantino hits and Bobby hits, you got a 5-6 player deep lineup that looks pretty damn good against.
And we haven't talked about him much, but Massey's still hitting a little bit too. So
Massey's still hitting. I keep forgetting him because he's only in the lineup once every 2-3 days. But they definitely have a chance to have some guys. Like we talked about this with Alex Duvall on, maybe it must have been the draft episode, but here's the thing about this offense. It's inconsistent, but when it's hot, it has a chance to be really, really good. And so if they can pick it up in the second half here, and they'll be special. And I think Pasquantino is a big part of that. Royals Weekly is brought to you by Eric Ocher of West USA Realty. Phoenix has all of our favorite things: year-round golf, year-round baseball, and Eric Ocher of West USA Realty. Whether you want to buy your dream retirement home or just stay a while and catch spring training, Eric can help you find the perfect house. We've known him for 30 years and trust him far more than we even trust each other.
The hardest thing about trusting Mark is he lies repeatedly. Mark's not even his real name. Okay,
No,
it's Merville. Him and MJ have the same name. I swear to God.
Okay? Hey, you're not supposed to. Don't be putting my stuff on the streets.
Merville, keep it down.
Eric does long-term rentals for the snowbird crowd and home sales and purchases for those who want to stay a while longer. Are you a baseball player or parent who needs a place in the Phoenix area? Eric will find you the perfect spot fast. You want to spend your day shanking golf balls into the great beyond? Eric knows the golf scene like Mike knows the warm embrace of a cellmate. Find Eric online at ericoxer.com if you can figure out how to spell his name. ERICKAUXIER.com. Or just shoot him a text at 480-383-9745. That's 480-383-9745. Even if you're just curious what he can do for you, he's 100% no pressure, one of the best people we know.
And he's got a great set of teeth on him.
Very white. The Royals continue their homestand this week with a 3-game series against the Diamondbacks and then a day off and another 3-game home series against the Cubs. Mike, tell us about last year's National League champs.
Well, the Diamondbacks are 51-49. They're second in the NL West to the Dodgers by 7.5 games. They had a real rough start of it, okay, but they've been slowly climbing back and are really in a good position to get a wild card spot in the National League, similar to the Royals. Teams are very different, but they get it done in different ways. But they're a good challenge for the Royals. I like where that team is. In the first game, it's going to be Reagans versus Gilbert Diaz, a 23-year-old righty out of Venezuela. He's got a 1.5 ERA and a .92 WHIP, but that's just in 2 starts. He mid-90s fastball, slider, knuckle curve. He throws his fastball quite a bit at around 60%. So he likes that pitch a lot. We'll see if the Royals can touch up fastball guys. We'll see. Sometimes that's a little tough. That second game, it's going to be Alec Marsh, but the Diamondbacks have not announced who their starter is going to be yet. Any info on that, or just we don't know? We just don't know. It's going to be Alec Marsh versus someone after a relief appearance the other night from Alec Marsh.
I will speculate that it will probably be a right or left-handed pitcher.
All right, cool. Yeah. Okay, that seems wildly speculative, Mark. How dare you?
I'm not willing to go too far out there. I'm a journalist, so I'm not really right. Going too far out there.
A journalist. That's funny. All right. Michael Wacha will go in the third game against Ryan Nelson. Not Ryan Nelson. Ryan Nelson, similar to Ryan Sandberg. 26-year-old right-handed pitcher out of the University of Oregon. A 4.78 ERA and a 1.39 WHIP. Mid-90s fastball for him too, but he's got a much bigger mix. Cutter, change, slider, curveball, sweeper. There's good numbers against the cutter and the changeup. He uses fastball quite a bit still, though, with 53% usage on the four-seamer. Offense has really been where they've been making their hay. Okay, let's put it that way. They have an above-average offense, especially Ketel Marte has been very good this year. Jock Peterson has been good. Christian Walker also having a good year. They've got a very deep lineup of guys that can perform offensively. The one guy who has not been performing offensively is Corbin Carroll, the rookie sensation from last year. He has struggled in his sophomore season. And so maybe the Royals can hopefully get some offense going, because it looks like they're going to challenge us a little bit more offensively than the White Sox did.
Yeah, no kidding. Sophomore slump, no big surprise. Chicago Cubs come to town after this. The Royals get a nice long homestand to come out of the All-Star break. I think that's nice for them. They play so well at home, but it'll be the Cubs after the Diamondbacks. The Cubs are 48-53, which is good for 4th in the NL Central. They're 10 games back of the Brewers. So they're probably going to be sellers here at the deadline. It's tough to know. I was talking with Alex Duvall on Twitter earlier, and he was mentioning, we were talking about this soft stretch the Royals have, and he's like, hey, the Cubs might be sellers, and they might have moved to some of their good pieces before we even play them. So the team may not be this good that I'm about to talk about by the time they come to Kansas City. Offensively, they're 19th in weighted runs created plus as a team. They're getting good years out of Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki, and Ian Happ, but the lineup is pretty shallow. They're getting some pretty bad years from a few guys as well. And so you might have a pretty top-heavy lineup, and we'll see if all those guys are even still there when we play them in about later this week. The pitching is a little bit better for the Cubs, especially that starting rotation. It's 11th in ERA as a pitching staff. They're getting good years from almost every starter. Shota Imanaga looks like the National League Rookie of the Year. He's been amazing for them out of the rotation. Jamison Tyon has been very good. Justin Steele has been very good. And then Javier Assad, another starter for them that has been very good. So 4 of their 5 starters right now have been very good. Their 5th starter also has been good, but he's out hurt right now. We'll see if he's back by then, but Kyle Hendricks is filling in for him. He hasn't been great this year, kind of on the downside of his career, but a real command and control righty, Kyle Hendricks. Hopefully we run into him when he's in town. The bullpen's a little bit shakier, but they do still have quite a few good pitchers in that pen. We'll end this week's episode like we end every episode with the Just a Bit Outside segment, where we talk about something that's interesting to us outside the world of baseball. Mike, we have a whole week worth of stuff for you to talk about. What was going on for you last week?
Oh my gosh, nothing really. I've been sick for like a week and a half, so that's it. You and I played golf. Absolutely killed you. Would you like to wax?
I played like
wax poetic on how bad I just beat the crap out of you at golf.
So it was only the second time I've played this year. The first time I played much better than I played this time, but I could not do anything within 50 yards of the green at all. Couldn't putt, couldn't chip. Terrible. It was really bad. I need to get out and play more, honestly. What am I doing with my life? I'm not playing more golf.
That's right. You are correct. I did murder you, and it was a very impressive performance by me. And yeah, sorry, dude. You're not very good at golf. But no, that's not the interesting thing.
I won't beat myself up over it.
It's like, Mike, you shot a 101 and Mark shot a 126. Way to go. Like, yeah. Those weren't our actual scores, by the way. We're a little bit better than that.
I would quit playing if I shot a 126.
Me too. I think I wouldn't play anymore. But no, the thing I'm talking about was a cool, I guess you'd call it like a documentary or mini series documentary. They were like YouTube episodes that weren't more than 20 minutes long. And it's called The Pathway. It's something the NFL did. It's like a follow the lives of it's like a Hard Knocks, right? But it's for the International Pathway program. So the NFL has this International Pathway program where people who are not born in the United States who have played other sports can come in, basically do like a 2.5 month training camp in the spring and summer, or really in the spring. And then they can sign as free agents with teams. And I got into this because the Chiefs signed one of the best guys from that group, Luis Rees-Zammit, the Welsh rugby player. But it kind of got me down like a rabbit hole. I was looking into him because I was just interested, like, you know, how good was this guy at rugby? And is there any chance he makes the Chiefs roster and all this sort of stuff? Because, you know, football's a big interest of mine. And it kind of took me down this pathway of watching that whole series in one afternoon. It's really good. Like, you get connected to these people's stories who are all very, very, very different from each other. And they're from everywhere. You know, you're talking Dominican Republic, England, Ireland, you know, Austria, Wales, Nigeria, you know, everywhere. And they all kind of come together to do this very unlikely thing. Like, it's very difficult for these guys to make rosters in the NFL, even though some of them are top athletes at their sports. It's such a different subset for the NFL. Like, and they mentioned it in the documentary. You have to be a giant and one of the best athletes in the world. Like, you just don't find a lot of those. And so, and then you have to have like a skill set that's been developed over, 15 years. These guys are trying to learn it in 10 weeks. And so it's like, it's just very compelling. I won't call it television, but it's very compelling content to consume. So it's called The Pathway. I highly recommend you check it out if you have. I think the whole thing took me, about 3 hours to watch, something like that. So,
here's the thing. That sounds super interesting to me, in part because I want to hear the reasoning and rationale behind people who are already top performers in a sport or excellent performers in a sport to be like, I'm going to change sports. I'm going to leave this where I'm going to leave this thing where I've found some level of success and give it a really long shot opportunity because they got to know, like, the odds of you ever becoming a mainstream NFL player are very long, right? Like, the notion that you would leave, like, being a very good, rugby player or cricket player or whatever, whatever the various things are, and try that. That's interesting to me.
Well, so one of the things is like you find out that some of these guys kind of reached the terminus of their potential in that sport, but perhaps their skill set and body better fit an NFL kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So sometimes you're like, well, if the Dominican Republic offered football, this kid would have been playing football, but it doesn't, or like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
some of it's just like in our country, the opportunities to play football don't exist, and that's why we didn't play. So
yeah, that makes sense. Excellent. I'm going to check that out. Here's something else you can check out. It actually is a TV show, and I watched it with my partner in the course of like 3 days because it's only got 2 seasons. But man, it freaking rocks as a TV show. Okay. It's on Peacock. So you have to have Peacock. But if you're interested in the NFL at all, you have Peacock because for some reason, some of their games are on there. And so if you can get it on Peacock in some way, you'll want to watch this TV show. It's called We Are Lady Parts. And it's about a British punk rock band that is entirely made up of Muslim women. And it's like a comedy. It's a comedy. And it sort of tells their journey as they're trying to like make a name for themselves as a punk band. Right. And it is just so funny. It is so funny. And it's also like, it's a story that you have not seen before. Like there is no other thing like this show. Okay. And it's just so good. I cannot tell you how good it is. There are not enough superlatives for this show because it is well written. It is extremely well acted. The jokes are hilarious. Like it's just, I love this story because it is like no other story, but it's like no other story, both in its content and in the way it's done. Right. Like, and so I cannot express to you enough how good this show is. It's called We Are Lady Parts. Watch it. Come back to me. Tell me how much you loved it. If you didn't love it, just don't talk to me anymore. Because it is baller. Okay. Make sure you're watching it. It is so good. Mike, you would even like it. I know you only like comedies. It is a comedy.
Yeah, we're looking for a new one. So maybe I'll check that one out.
Give it a shot. It's amazing. Also, give us a shot again next week when we come back, because we will be back next week with more Royals stuff. We are content creators as well. Watch our content, listen to our content, like and subscribe, all that sort of stuff. We want to thank you for joining us here on Royals Weekly, presented by Bet Online. Come back again next week. Subscribe to the Substack and listen to our midweek episodes. We'll see you next week. Until then, be good to each other.
And go Royals.